burning rubber, tires screaming, engines go berserk. Pit stop precision like surgeons at work. Wheel to wheel, hands on the grip, no chill. Broadcast live, pacemaker keeping it real. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. 360 on the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. Peacemaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. On the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. Peacemaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Yeah. From amateurs to legends, it's all the same heat. One wrong move might sweep defeat. High octane stakes climb mile by mile. Peacemakers mic hot, adding flames to the style. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. Greasy, the grind stay greasy. 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 Burning rubber, tires screaming, engines go berserk. Pit stop precision like surgeons at work. Wheel to wheel, hands on the grip, no chill. Broadcast live, pacemaker keeping it real. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. 360 on the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. Peacemaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. On the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. Peacemaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Yeah. From amateurs to legends, it's all the same heat. One wrong move might sweep defeat. High octane stakes climb mile by mile. Peacemakers mic hot, adding flames to the style. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. Greasy, the grind stay greasy. 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 It's all the same heat. One wrong move might sweep defeat. High octane stakes climb mile by mile. Peacemakers mic hot, adding flames to the style. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. Greasy, the grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy.
and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to rock and roll here this evening with the Wheel to Wheel Racing League as we are at the beautiful Worldwide Technology Raceway, otherwise known as Gateway, here this afternoon. And for each and every one of these drivers, they're hoping that they can put themselves into the pole position as our qualifying session has gotten underway. So qualifying underway, and drivers laying down their quick times out there on the speedway. We do see Jason Bogart out there, currently sits 8th here on the speed charts. We'll see if he can find a little extra speed, maybe put himself into the pole position here this evening. Colby Wells jumps up into 4th for Jason Bogart. His second lap a little bit quicker. He'll leapfrog 2 and move in to 7th. Now on the speed charts, Jack Bulty, though, in that number 27 ride has the race lead. Colby Wells, there's that 45 ride, currently sitting in 4th here on the speed charts as Jack with the pole position, not the race lead, he's in the pole position. Wells currently 4th. Oh, he loses it at a 4, pushing a little too far. Unfortunately, that will nullify that lap, so his second lap will not count. Now we do have Evan Stewart out there looking to try to lay down a good lap here himself. He'll lose it at a 4. Oh, brother. Here they go, and there they go. Out there on the speedway, everyone trying to keep their cars just pointing in the right direction here, but trying to find every little bit they can to try to put themselves into a winning position here this evening, as we're going to see all these drivers get ready to rock and roll. Qualifying has come to a close. That means the start of our A-Main feature event here this evening. As Roadkill in the chat says, let's see Brandon Eddington get a W, he says. Looking for Eddington to potentially find his way up and into victory lane here this evening as we get each and every one of these drivers ready to rumble, ready to roll here this evening, as they'll get lined up out there on the front straightaway as our outside pole sitter loaded in, ready to rock and roll, ready to get to battle here this evening. It's Grant Applegate who will start in second. Jack Bulty does pick up that pole award. Winning the pole position, will wait for him to load in the 27 ride. Trevor Dyer, Colby Wells in 3rd and 4th, and then we do see the 24 ride of Terrence Murphy qualifying there in 5th. Wyatt Mickelson in the Ally number 51 ride here this evening qualifies in that 6th position. Bogart and Joseph Smith will bring up row number 4 out there on the speedway as the Kroger number 60 ride of Ryan Haller will qualify there in 9th. To his outside, it is the 15 machine, Mr. Stephen Blevins. Blevins will qualify there in that 10th position as Jaden Porter and Ben Needis. They're in position number 12. Lucian Thompson in position number 13 with Thaddeus Friel Jr. in the 14th spot here on the starting grid. Trent Johns back there in the 3G number 8 machine qualifies in 15th. To his outside in the Aflac 99 ride, it's Logan Perriman. Starting back in 17th in the 34 ride, that is Aiden Lucas. To his outside will be the 5 of Nicholas Wheeler. In the 5 ride here this evening, not Xavier Ruggles-Brugge, so substitute here for Ruggles-Brugge this afternoon, starting back in 18th. Starting back in 19th in the 13 ride, that is Michael Ponder Jr. To his outside in the FedEx 11, that is Jaden Browder. Then we do see Evan Stewart in the 37 ride, the number 35 of Cooper Goodwin starting back in 22nd. And then we see the 23 of Austin Thompson in the 55 ride, Mr. Nick Jensen, as we get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to rumble here this evening. 24 drivers taking the green flag here at Gateway. One driver will park themselves into victory lane here this evening, as Greg in the chat says, let's go B-A-N. Cheer it on, B-A-N. Out there on the speedway, and you see one of those B-A-N rides, the Alabama number 64 ride of Trevor Dyer, starting in that 3rd position, hoping to try to work his way up and in to potentially victory lane here this evening. James Will Banks in the chat as well says, let's go VAN. And Trevor cheering on Trevor out there on the speedway. Trevor looking to have himself a good run and a solid performance here this evening in the Roll Tide ride here to day as the official iRacing pace car will make that hard left-hand turn back down pit side. And here we go. Ready to end all of the anticipation with our feature presentation as we are quickly green flag racing here from Worldwide Technology Raceway as everyone shoots it down into corner number 1. Our leaders though door to door. Jack looking for a good run at a corner number 2, trying to clear Applegate there as Applegate will stay door to door with them. They'll drag race down the back straightaway into corner number 3, still side by side for the race lead early on here this evening. Jack with a great center speed right there. Good exit. They'll be side by side. Back down across the line. A little door slam right there. It looked like Applegate may have led our first lap of this race. So Applegate just nudging out in front, but there you go. Applegate goes high through corner 1 and 2. The 27 right able to roll the bottom. Takes over the control of the race lead. So, for the fish speed, number 27 of Jack Buelty now continues to lead the charge here as Applegate back in second. There you see Colby Wells in position number 3. Trevor Dyer back there in 4th as we do see Terrence Murphy trying to hold off this progressive number 31 ride of Joseph Smith. Smith trying to keep on working his way forward as we are missing quite a few drivers here this afternoon. No Fisher. No... Who else are we missing here? No Fisher, no Ruggelbrugge. I feel like there's a few more cats that we tend to usually see up towards the front. Matthew Wood isn't here. Interesting that some of our regular front runners not out there on the speedway here this afternoon. That could really open up the door for some of these other drivers to gain some big points that they may need to try to pull themselves in a little closer, to try to put themselves into a good spot when it comes to our points out there on the speedway. It's my boy Rodney. What's good, Rodney? Hot Rod in the chat. Mr. Stewart says, let's go. Evan cheered on Evan Stewart here today. As Rodney says, you yawning already? I'm trying not to, Rodney. I'm trying not to. I swear to God, I think the start of races I may be allergic to. The middle and end, I'm always fine. But the start, it seems like, I don't know. It's like I'm allergic to them. And they just make me want to yawn. I don't know why. But we're trying to get this monster into us. We're trying to get ourselves a little bit more woken up. I'm pumped though. I'm excited to be back here, excited to be back up in the booth for the Wheel to Wheel Racing League and watching these drivers duke it out there on the speedway. Jack Buelty does continue to keep on holding on to the race lead as he does have another fish speed brakes ride right there behind him. That is the 57 of Grant Applegate. Colby Wells right there as well. So there is 3 fish speed brakes all up there towards the front of the field. Is the TI Racing number 45 Ryan, hoping to try to work his way out in front of this field, hoping that he can potentially put himself into victory lane here this evening. Trevor Dyer there in 4th, looking for another great run of the Alabama 64 Ryder Smith has now worked his Ford Mustang up and into our top 5 here on the speedway. So moving up 3 positions quickly through our top 10, and now sitting inside of our top 5. We'll see if he can hunt down Dyer, Wells, Applegate, and Buelty here in front of him as we see Terrence Murphy holding on to second. Jason Bogart, great start to this race for the Flex Seal 1776 Motorsports number 17 machine of Bogart as he rolls there in 7th. Right behind him, the 51 machine in the beautiful Ally ride here this afternoon. It's Wyatt Mickelson there in 8th. Lucian Thompson, Stephen Blevins running out our top 10. Ryan Haller's back there in 11th. Aiden Lucas in 12th. Ben Needis, Jaden Browder, Jaden Porter there 14th and 15th. So the Jaden's kind of right tight together. But there you see right behind them another one of those Van Rys, the VAN number 98 machine of Thaddeus Friel Jr. trying to hold on to the 16th position. Unfortunately, he will lose it to the Aflac 99 ride of Logan Perriman. So Thaddeus will find himself falling back 3 spots early in this race, now sitting back in position number 17. And then you just saw the 8 ride right there as well. The 3G machine of Trent Johns, unfortunately getting a big piece of the outside fence there out of corner number 4, end up losing 2 spots to the Chumba Casino number 35 ride of Cooper Goodwin and the 37 of Evan Stewart, as they've now worked their way inside our top 20. Johns now falls into that 20th position as Nicholas Wheeler, Austin Thompson, Nick Jensen, Michael Ponder Jr. back there bringing up the rear of the field. Another driver that we're missing here tonight is Landon Burbage. No Burbage, no Matthew Wood, no Jordan Fisher out there on the speedway. Is there anyone else that I can think of that we're missing out of our regular front runners here this afternoon? I don't know. There might be a couple that may be missing here. We may have to take a look through it here. We do know that Smith is out there. He's up inside our top 5. So for our second place driver in the point standings, he's feeling pretty dang good as he's up there towards the front, looking for some good stage points and hoping that maybe he can claw a little bit closer to Jordan Fisher for the regular season points lead here. As came in roughly, I want to say, 59 points behind. So he's a good gap back behind Fisher, but this could really close things in a whole lot more here this evening if he can catch up that little bit, if he can gain that extra little bit of an edge out there on the speedway. We still have one more race after tonight for our regular season. So as we head into Darlington, Darlington here in a couple weeks, that's a full-length race. It's 100% race length. That's going to be a really, really fun, interesting one. But we have Atlanta in the middle there. So we have Atlanta on the 9th of August, and that is our final regular season race. So for Fisher not being here tonight, if Smith can get a pretty good points afternoon, he could be right there. He could be right on par with Jordan Fisher when it comes to our point standings heading into that final points night here. And Atlanta is always one of those tricky ones, man. Can work out well or can go the wrong way in a quick hurry. So it could be a bit of a toss-up between Smith and Fisher for the regular season championship, with Jordan not being here this afternoon. Now, Xavier Rugglebruggy, Zay is not here this evening, but he does have a backup driver out there. Unfortunately for Nicholas Wheeler, currently finds himself back in 22nd. Gonna need to pick up the pace here. I know Xavier definitely looking for some good points, hoping that maybe he can try to catch up and leapfrog Matthew Wood, with Wood not being here this afternoon. Could be another big couple points there for Zay, and moving him up the charts here for our regular season championship. Jaden Browder, who unfortunately did not get a good qualifying run in, has made some pretty decent moves here. Browder's already worked his way up 9 positions, now finds himself sitting in 11th out there on the racetrack. So for Browder, he's moving forward here. Applegate, he's up there in 2nd still, sitting pretty right now. So our 5th and 6th place driver in points, both having themselves a good start to this race. Evan Stewart a little deeper back there. Landon Burbage not here this afternoon. For Jack Bulte being back in position number 9. He's sitting in a great spot here this afternoon. Out in front, leading the charge, leading laps, got the point already for the pole position, and now hoping to try to earn some more points here with maybe the stage win, maybe the race win, trying to inch his way a little bit more through that point standings out there on the racetrack. And then Austin Thompson a little deeper in the field. Colby Wells is up there. Hauler's looking good. Aiden Lucas, he's kind of raced his way forward a little bit as Aiden now battling with the 17 of Jason Bogart for position number 8. Looks like Lucas will take that spot away from Jason, and for Mr. Bogart, he will fall back into the 9th position out there on the speedway. So massive points there for Aiden Lucas that he desperately needed here this evening. Stephen Blevins as well came in 14th in the points. Desperately needs those points, needs to keep himself above that cut line. And right now, sitting in 12th, not a bad spot to be. Wyatt Mickelson, he's right on the edge of the cut line. He's inside our top 10, having a solid start to this race as the Ally 51 ride sits in 7th. And then we just talked about Jason Bogart. Bogart came in right on that cut line in the 16th position. hoping that he can keep himself above that cut line. 40 points separating him. Actually, I think it's a lot more than that, actually. It may be a ton of points here. Points behind cut. Okay, so I think he's 40 points. I think he's 40 points above Terrence Murphy here. Yeah, 40 points. The gap between 16th and 17th. So for Terrence Murphy, Trent Johns, Logan Perriman, Caleb Holloman, who I don't believe is here this afternoon. Lucian Thompson, he definitely needs a ton of points. Unfortunately, I think he may be too far back to even get a chance. No Chess Hamby, no Nick Biddy. Who else? No Austin Guerrero, Michael Boyles, Logan Hamilton. Jace LaForte hasn't been here in a long time. Darren Engler, Brian Matthews, Gary Rose, Joe David, Nick Jensen, Michael Durham Jr., Mike Corriveau. So many good drivers that unfortunately are not here this afternoon, that have not raced in quite a little while. When you look back here at some of these cats, I mean, it's been a good time since we've seen them out there on the speedway. Jacob Lee, Timothy Abril, Joshua Nunez. I mean, Logan Perriman, or Virgil Perriman hasn't been here in a while. Willie Smith. Man, there's a bunch that unfortunately just have not been here in a bit, and it sucks to see drivers not out there and competing and battling, you know, here this afternoon or night after night after night. And tonight, obviously, not a lacking of car count, a lot more than what we had there at Naval Base Coronado, but definitely a good one here nonetheless. Says Mrs. Rugglebruggy in the chat says, have fun tonight, boys. Xavier's off tonight, but I'll be rooting for you. Aw, let's go, Mrs. Rugglebruggy coming in, showing the love here in this one. Yeah, Zay's off tonight. I'm not sure what he's got going on, but had to take the night off, and I mean, luckily enough, he found himself a pretty good backup driver there for the Chesapeake Racing number 5 machine, as he's got that fish speed machine up and into the 21st position. Kind of holding strong right here. He's got Austin Thompson there behind him. Nick Jensen's now falling back into 23rd, and Michael Potter Jr. unfortunately still bringing up the rear of the field. But our race leaders still knows the tail out there on the speedway, with Jack Bulte leading the charge. Grant Applegate in position number 2. They got themselves a little bit of a gap now between them and our third place driver, Colby Wells. Wells about a second back behind Applegate in that second position. So for Wells, got not a lot of pressure to his rear bumper, not a lot of pressure there in front of him. So he's kind of sitting here cruising, trying to, you know, mind his P's and Q's, keep the tires underneath of him, hope for some good long run speed that he can try to chase down Jack Bulte and Applegate here in just a little bit. Joseph Smith has worked his way into 4th here, as we did see Terrence Murphy now into 5th. Wyatt Mickelson's into 6th. Trevor Dyer unfortunately falls outside of our top 5. Now falling back into 7th and trying to hang on to that 7th position as the Van Ride unfortunately looks like he may lose that spot here to Aiden Lucas. Aiden with a big run down the front straightaway to his outside, and for the GOAT Racing diecast number 34, he will slide in front of the 64, and now Aiden Lucas into 7th. Trevor Dyer falls back into 8th, and right there behind them, not too far away, one driver that started at the back of the pack here started in 20th. For the FedEx Cares and number 11 machine, Jaden Browder already up 11 positions here on the speedway and looking to keep on steamrolling towards the front, as Browder now into 9th here, and he's closing in on Trevor Dyer. Aiden Lucas and Wyatt Mickelson here for the end of the stage could potentially end up with some pretty solid points out there on the afternoon, as we'll take a look here at our stats. So 168 total laps. We will have a stage break at the completion of lap number 40. So stage 1 ends at the end of lap number 40, and for stage number 2 is completed at the end of lap number 80. So we get two 40-lap runs and then about an 80 or so lap run to finish off this race. So kind of broken up nicely here for these drivers. I think with 5 sets of tires over the wall, you gotta have the idea that all right, let's make it to the first stage. Let's get a set of tires on. Let's get to stage number 2, get the second set on, and then you kind of break down that final run with maybe 1 or potentially 2 green flag pit stops. We'll have to wait and see how far the fuel can go for these drivers, or where maybe some of these yellow flags may fly. That could potentially help them out, but you already see the 11 of Jaden Browder making the move here on that 64 ride. Aiden Lucas has found his way around Wyatt Mickelson, so Mickelson falls to 7th, and Lucas continues his march towards the front here, up 11 spots himself into that 6th spot here on the speedway. Mickelson there in 7th, but Jaden Browder will complete the pass on Trevor Dyer. Dyer falls back into 9th, and Jaden Browder up and into 8th now here on the speedway. As Jason Bogart trying to hold on to 10th here. Know that there's stage points on the line. Know that if he can try to keep the 61 and the 60 ride of Lucian Thompson and Ryan Holler back there at bay, that he could at least earn a extra point here to help him continue on his way to locking himself into our championship battle here this year. And I think for a lot of these drivers, that's probably one of their main goals here tonight, is just trying to make sure they get enough points, make sure that they don't run into any major issues, have a good solid run, and that way they can go into Atlanta and not have to worry really about the points. So they can just go out there, have some fun, kind of do a little testing, a little tuning, try to work on some different things that kind of get them a little bit more set up, a little bit more in tune and ready to rock and roll for the first round of our playoffs when we head to Darlington, the Lady in Black, which is a very, very tough racetrack. We are probably going to see a lot of drivers earn their Darlington stripes, get into the outside fence, and as that happens, we could see a lot of drivers unfortunately parked down pit road with heavy right front damage, like we may have just saw Bogart earn right there. He had just gotten into the wall out of corner number 4, and all of a sudden, I mean, he's just got nothing left, and for the Flex Steel 17 machine will fall outside of our top 10, as you do see the Kroger number 60 ride of Mr. Ryan Holler work his way up and into the 10th position. So now in line for some stage points here for the number 60 ride of Mr. Holler here this evening, and if he can try to hunt down maybe another struggling driver like Trevor Dyer or even his teammate Wyatt Mickelson in the Ally 51 machine. As we do see Aiden Lucas still holding on the 6 here. Browder, though, already around Wyatt and now chasing down Aiden Lucas for that 6th position. They're both hoping that they got enough time here that they can reel in maybe Terrence Murphy for that 5th position, as Joseph Smith in position number 4. He's unfortunately still about 2 seconds back, 2.5 back of Colby Wells, so he's still quite a ways away from that 45 ride. It's the 13 machine right there is Michael Ponder Jr. Unfortunately for Michael, you see that heavy right front damage on the MTL number 13 ride, and unfortunately he is the first driver to go a lap down out there on the speedway. The next driver to potentially lose a lap is this 55 ride, and Nick Jensen. Jensen down through 1 and 2, our race leader down across the line, so about a quarter of a lap away from potentially catching up to that 55 ride of Nick Jensen and putting him a lap down out there on the speedway. Is Mrs. Holler in the chat? What's good? Sure Holler in the chat says, have a great race tonight, guys. Bringing home Holler and Mickelson, cheering on Mickelson and Holler here this evening. We just saw Holler work his way inside our top 10, and then we did see Wyatt was up there. He was battling. He's in the 8th position. We'll see if he can maybe try to battle back as the 11 ride of Browder way up the racetrack there through corner number 3 and 4. And really checked him up a ton, and Mickelson draws right back to him here. So unfortunately for Jaden Browder, maybe pushing hard, gaining all these positions, may have started to notice a little bit of that tire fall off, maybe struggling a little bit more later in this run, and may now just have to try to hang on to the 7th spot and try to make the most out of this early run, gaining 13 positions, going from 20th to 7th here in our first stage of the day is definitely not a bad good thing, but for a lot of these drivers, it's going to be all about fuel mileage. It's going to be about tire wear, and so far, the one driver that's played it out perfectly is our race leader, Jack Buelty. As Buelty continues to lead the charge here, but the tire fall off is already kind of hit somewhere around that, 1.4 to 1.6 seconds here for most drivers. So tire fall off is definitely going to be a major issue for a lot of these drivers here this evening. Just try to keep the wheels underneath you, trying to keep that car pointing the right direction, out of trouble, and just trying to keep pointing yourself in the right direction to park yourself up and into victory lane here at Gateway. For each and every one of these guys, I mean, it's easier said than done, but right now, Jack Buelty's making it look easy here in that 27 ride as that Ford Mustang just continues to click off laps and continues to keep on marching his way towards victory here in our first stage of the evening. Applegate continues to fall farther and farther back behind, about 0.8 of a second now between Applegate and Jack out in front here. So he's sitting pretty comfy. 4 laps left to go in this stage for Jack Buelty to get it done. And now, you see Applegate get really loose there at corner number 2. Big contact into the outside fence. That killed a ton of speed, a ton of momentum for him. And that is going to give Jack definitely enough breathing room that he's going to be feeling A-okay here as this stage comes to a wind. There's only 3 laps left to go. The gap is now 1.2 seconds. And for Applegate, now with some heavy right front damage here, that may be an extended trip down pit road to get this thing repaired, to get this thing fixed back up and into one good piece here for this restart of stage number 2. And that loss of track position could definitely put him into a bit of a hole, could definitely put him into the hornet's nest back there deeper in the field, and could be potentially something that he cannot battle his way through. So we'll have to see, where this car kind of gets lined up for the restart after the stage break. But now with only 2 laps left to go here in this stage, time is really running out for him, and unfortunately with that damage, I don't think he's got enough left in him to hunt down that 27 ride. So for Jack Buelty, just has to keep the fenders on it, keep this thing pointed the right direction, and drive himself potentially into the first stage win of the day without a mistake here in the final lap and a half lap at a quarter now as he exits corner number 4 out on the speedway, heads down the front stretch and sees the white flag fly here for the final lap of stage number 1. So only 1 lap left to go here in our first stage of the day. 1.6 seconds, the gap between him and Applegate. I think Applegate realizes that, all right, this car is hurt. He just has to limp it home here, get a good solid points run here in our second stage of the evening. And I think that's what he'll be looking for. Is Jack Buelty, though, nice and easy, down and out of corner number 4. So far, looking like that reflection of perfection, led almost every single lap there in that stage except for the opening one that I believe Applegate beat him back down across the line. So for Jack, qualified on the pole, led pretty much every lap there in that first stage and wins our first stage of the evening. Great run there for him. Applegate with that right front damage will still stay in second. Colby Wells in third. Joseph Smith, Terrence Murphy are top 5 there in stage number 1 with Aiden Lucas, Jaden Browder, Wyatt Mickelson, Trevor Dyer, and Ryan Haller rounding out the top 10, all earning some stage points here this evening. Unfortunately, Jason Bogart, Stephen Blevins, Evan Stewart, Lucian Thompson, Ben Needis, Jaden Porter, Logan Perriman, Thaddeus Friel Jr., Nicholas Wheeler's back in 19th with Austin Thompson. They were in 20th. Trent Johns back in 21st. Nick Jensen, Cooper Goodwin, and Michael Ponder Jr., the only driver a lap down out there on the speedway, should be in line for the lucky dog to get back on the lead lap and to get himself back into the battle here today. But here we go. Pit stops getting started. They enter pit road down in corner number 3. They'll have to roll all the way around through 3 and into 4. And as they hit the front straightaway here, they will hit pit road entry right there. That's where we're going to have to keep an eye on, as you can go through that apron area pretty much as fast as you want to. You do not have to be at pit road speed through that area. You can go really, really fast, but you got to get checked up in time before hitting that yellow cone on pit entry, technically down out of corner number 4. So for a lot of these drivers, we start to see green flag pit stops. That could be a problem area here at Gateway. So they'll have to be keeping their eyes on it, make sure they don't make any mistakes. See all these drivers hitting their pit stalls, getting service, getting 4 fresh tires, and getting rolling back out onto the racetrack. As it is Jack Bulty who will keep the race lead. He comes out in the top spot with Colby Wells in second, Joseph Smith in third, Aiden Lucas, Terrence Murphy, our top 5 here for the restart. Jaden Browner's in 6th with Wyatt Mickelson, Jason Bogart, Evan Stewart, and Jaden Porter now rounding out our top 10 here for this restart. Ben Needis, Nicholas Wheeler, Grant Applegate, who we talked about having that right front damage and potentially having a little bit more of a extended trip down pit side. Unfortunately, did have that extended trip. Goes from 2nd back to 13th here for this restart. Now mid-pack and is going to be right in the middle of the Hornet's Nest for this restart. Lucian Thompson there behind him with Nick Jensen, Trevor Dyer coming out in 16th with Austin Thompson, Trent Johns, Ryan Haller, Logan Perriman, Thaddeus Friel Jr., Stephen Blevins there in 22nd, Michael Ponder Jr., who got in the lucky dog, will roll out in 23rd, and Cooper Goodwin will round out our 24-car field here for this restart. So 24 started. Looks like 24 will keep on rolling here through stage number 1. Caution free, good, hard, solid racing action as we do see Austin Thompson going to make an additional pit stop. You're bringing that Black Honey Barbershop number 23 machine back down pit road. Now this could be a little bit of an extra strategy, just getting that little bit of extra fuel into the car. It doesn't even look like he hits pit lane. He just goes for a cruise down pit side here. Bit of an interesting move there from Austin Thompson. Nonetheless, that will move him to the rear of the field, so he will have to start back in 24th. So that's a bit of an odd pit stop right there for that 23 machine, but nonetheless, here we go. Getting ready to get back after it. Jack Bulty out in front, looking to try to redo exactly what he did there in our first stage of the day. Can he get it done here again in stage number 2? Was down through that restart zone. Here we go. Green flag back into the air, and for the 27, a great launch, great restart. Able to clear all these drivers and lead them down through corner 1 and 2 with ease. This time, no Applegate to his outside as we do see the 45 of Wells get a little piece of the outside fence right there. Did get a little bit of contact into the outside wall, and unfortunately there, hopefully no major tire damage or anything else to the 45 ride, but he's able to work his way around Joseph Smith. Smith now has to deal with this in number 34 of Aiden Lucas. Is Lucas able to use the outside lane, get around this 31, and now all of a sudden here comes Jaden Browder right into the battle as well. Browder into our top 5, and here he is looking to try to pick up a few more spots, trying to find his way around Joseph Smith and Aiden Lucas out there on the speedway. It's Jason Bogart back up and into 6th, Terrence Murphy, Wyatt Mickelson, Evan Stewart, and Jaden Porter rounding out our top 10 here on the speedway. Right there behind him, though, we do see Applegate in that 57. He's going to be looking to try to race his way back up into position number 2 and a little deeper back there. Trevor Dyer definitely trying to work this van ride a little farther forward here as well, as Greg Dyer in the chat says, okay, Trevor, damage is fixed. Take them one at a time. That's exactly what he's trying to do. Slowly but surely pick and choose his battles and trying to race his way back up towards the front of the pack. Is right in front of him a side-by-side battle between Lucian Thompson in the 61 and Ben Needis in the Culver's number 66 ride. And it looks like, unfortunately, out of 4, there's not the run that the 66 was hoping for, and that will allow both the 61 Aleutian Thompson and the 64 Trevor Dyer to get around him. So the 66 does fall back into that 15th position. Move Dyer up another spot out there on the speedway. Trent Johns there in 16th with Logan Perriman, Nick Jensen, Thaddeus Friel Jr. there in 19th, and it's Haller who now rounds out our top 20. A little bit of a slower pit stop there for Haller, and you do see a little bit of right front damage on that 60 ride as well. So Haller could definitely be dealing with a little contact there, a couple of issues there off that restart for the 60 ride, just trying to hang on to a top 20 as of right now. But for Austin Thompson, trying to move himself into that 20th position. Blevins is back there, Michael Ponder Jr. and Cooper Goodwin back in 24th, but out in front, it's all Jack Buelty. Buelty continues to lead the charge. You do see the 45 right of Wells get into the fence again right there, man. That's a concrete wall. It does not have a lot of play in it. It's not very soft, or at least as soft as some of these safer barrier walls out there on the speedway. That front straightaway is all concrete, and unfortunately, bouncing the right front off of it, man, sooner or later, it's going to come back to bite you. It's going to cause some major right front damage, and if you do get that damage, during a long green flag run, one, it can either send you deeper into the pack or may cause you to have to make a green flag pit stop out there on the speedway, and having to make a green flag stop here at Gateway will more than likely lose you a lap, potentially even 2 laps out there on the speedway. So keeping yourself out of trouble, keeping that car in one piece has got to be the key for each and every one of these competitors. You cannot go multiple laps down. You cannot put yourself into a position where you lose a couple laps and are banking on these caution flags to come out to try to help you. We saw that first run go clean and green until the stage break. So far here in stage number 2, I mean, we're another 7-8 laps into it, and we're still clean and green. So just a lot of good hard clean green racing out there on the speedway, and if you start losing laps, you may not be able to get them back, as you do see Applegate trying to work his way now around Terrence Murphy. So Applegate making some pretty good moves here early on in this stage, going from 13th now into 7th since that restart. So Applegate trying to battle back as fast as he can up towards our top 2 here on the speedway. We'll have to keep a close eye on that 57 ride as he continues to keep on battling, keep on tearing through the field in hopes to work his way out in front of the pack. As we're going to jump on board here for a lap or so with the number 51 of Wyatt Mickelson here. I'm going to get a quick drink into me, and we're going to jump on board here with this 51 ride. Give you guys a look and see what these drivers see from the cockpits of their race cars. Alrighty, great look there at kind of the winding corners here. Both corners a little bit different, and as you're right here with Mickelson, you do see the yellow lights come on. Our first caution flag for issue here this evening, as it looks like Nick Jensen has ran into some problems out there on the speedway. Let's take a look at the Costa Oil 10-minute oil change, number 55, right out there on the speedway. Shoots it down into corner number 3. Oh, the 99 ride right here. Gets a little tight, trying to work his way around Austin Thompson. Shoots it down to the inside here of Austin Thompson. I don't know if Austin really saw him coming. Doesn't give him a whole lot of room, and that just gets the 99 right a little tight, bails out of it, and unfortunately pushes up the racetrack there into quarter number 3, and as he does, comes right up into the 55 right of Nick Jensen, and Jensen, hard contact into the outside fence. It was a big hit for that 55 ride, and man, that was a big hit. It happened quickly out there on the racetrack. Luckily enough, caution flag does fly for the 55 ride as I think it was tore up. He's trying to get it down pit road. I think right there as he comes to a stop there on the speedway, that's what brings the caution flag out. So the little bit of a pause to cut down the speedway there. Now, luckily enough, he did pause. I feel like he probably would have caught potentially that 13 right of Michael Ponder Jr., but you see the car come to a rest down on the infield there, and unfortunately, a lot of major damage to that number 55 ride, and unfortunately, that's going to set him back and maybe even down pit road for a very extended period of time, as we do see Applegate heading back down pit road here. So Applegate hits pit lane again, so doesn't Jason Bogart. Ryan Haller's back down pit side, looking to get some work done to his right front. And you see tires going on, at least the right sides of a couple of these drivers. Looks like Applegate, Bogart, both going to take right side tires. You see Nicholas Wheeler and Austin Thompson both down pit road. Fairly quick pit stops for them, so you got to imagine 2 tire stops there. Haller still down pit road trying to get repairs. Blevins, Benitez. You see Thaddeus Friel Jr. also down pit road. Same with Logan Perriman, Michael Ponder Jr. Cooper Goodwin had also hit pit lane once again. And for Nick Jensen, unfortunately, that heavy damage may have him parked here for quite a while this afternoon. Scored back in the current 24th position on the speedway. We'll see if he can get back out there, see if he can get back into the action here this evening. As of right now, not looking too good for the 55 ride. But for the 27 of Jack Buelty, things have looked really good for him all race long as he continues to lead the charge here this evening. And we will get ready to go back to green flag racing as the lights are again off of our Ford Mustang pace car here this evening. So Buelty, Wells, 1 and 2. Right behind them is Aiden Lucas and Joseph Smith. Then we see Jaden Browder and the 24 of Terrence Murphy back in row number 3. Row number 4 will have Wyatt Mickelson and now the 37 of Evan Stewart in 8th with Jaden Porter and Lucian Thompson rounding out our top 10. Trevor Dyer, Trent Johns rounding out our top 12 as all drivers that were last down pit road. They're in the lap 42 stage break pit stop. Everyone back behind them, though, did come down pit road. Some for 2 tires, some for 4 tires. We'll see who can maybe work some magic here in the closing laps of this second stage and try to race their way up towards the front here. Maybe try to steal that stage win away from Jack Buelty, or another one of these front runners this afternoon, as the pace car will make the hard left-hand turn back down pit side that will put this field into the hands of the race leader, Jack Buelty, as he's going to work his way into the restart zone. He gets a great launch, great jump right there, quickly clears that 45 right of Kobe Wells. Wells sleeping a little bit, does already get passed by Aiden Lucas, so Lucas already into second. Wells falls back into third. See if he can try to battle back. Mounted challenge to get around this 34 ride. Looking to the inside here with a good run out of 2. Looks like Aiden can't really make anything happen right there. Shoots it in deep, though, into corner number 3 and 4. Woo, doggy, did he ever send it in there. Luckily enough, was able to catch it. Did not make any contact, but now there is contact between him and the 45 ride. Oh, him and Wells get tied together down and out of corner number 4. Major contact there for both drivers. Oh, man, this is a couple big hits. Let's see if we get another look at it. So Wells right here trying to push underneath the 34 ride, and on exit washes up into him. A little bit of contact right there. Gets the 34 into the outside fence, then Aiden bounces off the wall into the 45, then trying to save it. Unfortunately, comes back down. It's another little piece of that 45 machine. Wells does end up making some pretty solid contact himself with the infield fence right there on the pit wall. And unfortunately, he's able to keep going, so that's a good break for him. Unfortunately for Aiden Lucas, not so lucky as the 34 ride. That hit, that's a lot of damage there. He's just trying to hang on to it, just trying to keep this thing pointed the right direction. You can see the field taking advantage of this tore-up race car and working their way around him in a quick hurry as they steamroll right on by him, and he goes from battling for second to now all of a sudden battling, just trying to keep himself inside the top 20 out there on the speedway. And unfortunately right now, man, not a great spot to be in if you're that 34 ride. You're just battling for second, looking for the race lead, and now you're just trying to keep this thing pointed the right direction, hoping to get to the end of this stage where you can get some repairs and try to get this thing fixed up and back into one good racing condition for later in this run. But we do see one driver with those fresher right side tires working his way through the traffic rather quickly, already up and into third. Applegate has found himself here in 5 laps of green flag racing, once again going from 13th back up to third here. And for this 57 ride, those right side tires, I mean, having the extra 15 laps or so on them could be the difference maker between, coming second or coming fifth in this stage to all of a sudden winning this stage. So I think for the 57 ride, he's going to be the car to keep an eye on here. And I think for Jack Buelt, he does not want to see that red machine jump into his rearview mirror, and he sees him right now. Only about 0.4 of a second between Buelt and Applegate out there on the speedway. Smith falls back into third. Kobe Wells there in fourth. You got to wonder what kind of damage is on that 45 ride. You can see the pretty solid right front contact there. Right front damage, a little left front damage as well after getting into the infield fence. So you got to wonder if this is going to really hurt his run here, if he will potentially fall farther and farther back as Austin Thompson from deep in the field here. Thompson also was down pit road, got some tires there. Here he is up inside our top 5, looking for some big stage points here in this second stage as he works to the inside of Wells. You see Browder, Terrence Murphy right there. They're trying to hang on to it. Wyatt Mickelson's up into 8th with Bogart and Evan Stewart rounding up the top 10. Lucian Thompson's back there in 11th with Cooper Goodwin racing his way up towards that top 10 here in a quick hurry. Trent Johns, Trevor Dyer's back in 14th. Jaden Porter, Stephen Blevin. So I feel a lot of these drivers that were potentially down pit road that got tires that, made some changes there, keep on marching their way towards the front of the pack here. We'll see if they can maybe work their way to the front. Obviously, for one of them, it's going to happen, and it already has. Applegate made quick work there with Jack Buelt, and that just goes to show you, man, that those right side tires are oh so important, even after just 15 laps of green flag racing in between our stage break and that caution flag. And for Applegate, all of a sudden he's got the race lead, man. He made quick work up that top 12 and did not take him long to find this race lead. And now just pulling farther and farther away from Jack Buelt. He was kind of just stuck in no man's land right here. Just trying to hang on to it. Hope to come out of this stage with some good points and hope that there's not too many more fresh tires coming from behind him here to pass him and slide him any farther back out there on the speedway in this stage. And for right now, he's holding pretty here in second, but Applegate hoping that maybe this is what he needed to, one, not only take over the race lead, but maybe give him that track position, the clean air for some of these restarts that could maybe work him into victory lane here this evening. It's Joseph Smith there in third. Smith's had himself a good, solid afternoon up inside of the top 5 for pretty much the entire race so far. We'll see if he can hold on to this third position, maybe even try to work his way one spot forward here if he can find his way now around that number 27 of Jack Buelt as well. Out there on the speedway, Austin Thompson does have fresh right side tires, at least on this 23 machine, and he's up into 4th. He's looking to reel him in here as Colby Wells still just trying to hang on to this thing, trying to keep that 45 point in the right direction. He's got Terrence Murphy and Jaden Browder right there trying to reel him in, trying to make some moves around him here, but he's been able to hold off these guys and hanging on to that 5th position right now on the speedway. We'll see if that stays true throughout the next 10 laps, as we have 10 laps left to go here in stage number 2. And for Applegate, the strategy call at least may come away with some stage points, but it may hurt him here in the long run if we do see a couple yellow flags throughout this final stage. He could run out of tires at least one trip down pit road before everybody else. Now, you can have that track position, but we've seen how good the tires are even after that 10 to 15 lap green flag run. He was able to take 2 tires and kind of just drive around the field here. Now that he doesn't have those right sides, though, maybe later in this race, he could find himself being a sitting duck out there on the speedway if more of these cats can make that late race pit stop, get those extra tires, and use them against him here in the closing laps of this feature event. So we'll have to keep a close eye on that one. But for right now, Applegate still continuing to lead the charge here. Still out in front and pulling away from Jack Buelty as Jack back now about 2 seconds, or pretty dang close to 2 seconds, with 72 laps off the board. 8 laps left to go here in this stage. Oh, Grant Applegate here in this one. Joseph Smith back there in 30, stuck right there with Jack Buelty. And I think for Jack, I mean, I don't know if it's maybe a little bit of that dirty air, or maybe now just trying to get settled in here. But he's in this 31 ride right there with him, putting a little bit of pressure to his back bumper for that 2nd position out there on the racetrack. We'll see if Smith can work his way up into position number 2 here prior to the end of the stage. He's only going to get 7 more laps to try to get that done. And for Austin Thompson, he's got 7 more laps to try to reel them in. He's about a second back behind them, but he is slowly chipping away at that, slowly working his way closer and closer to the 2 cars here in front of him. Colby Wells a little farther back, still just trying to keep this 45 point in the right direction, with Jaden Browder right there with them. And unfortunately, we do see that 34 ride of Aiden Lucas having hit pit road here, having to make this green flag pit stop. Heartbreaker here for Aiden Lucas, obviously with that damage. Tore up race car after battling for second between him and Wells and getting the worst end of that deal, getting a lot of damage on this 34 ride. Now making this green flag pit stop, hoping the crew can go to work here quickly, get 4 fresh tires onto this thing, and maybe get him back out onto the speedway. But as of right now, looks like he may be down here for an extended period of time. He's already lost a lap, and now as our race leaders blow by him, he will lose a 2nd lap. So now 2 laps down at the minimum for Aiden Lucas, and it's going to be tough to get those laps back out there on the speedway. But we do see another driver making a green flag stop. Trent Johns also hits pit road. So Johns now down pit side, as we did see Logan Perriman and Nick Jensen both take their cars out of this race. Obviously for Jensen, that damage after the contact between him and Perriman kind of did him in into the outside fence there in 3 and 4, and Logan Perriman also taking himself off the speedway as well. But Trent Johns hitting pit road right here. It's a bit of a surprise. He will fall at least a lap down here as the race leaders are by him, but the crew does go to work. They get fresh tires on, so maybe just trying to flip the stage, but it's not going to really work out because he's still going to be a lap down. He'll get the free pass. He'll get the lucky dog, but it doesn't really give him any of an advantage here. That's the one thing I don't understand about it, because he's still going to have to run another 3 laps or so to get to the end of the stage. So you'll have a little bit lesser of fresh tires, and at the same point in time, he's a lap down. We'll have to get the lucky dog. We'll still be at the rear of the field. Won't have any extra track position or anything else. So a bit of an odd strategy there out of the 8 ride. But for Applegate, he's out in front, has the top spot, nice and easy. He's on cruise control here at the front of the field with those 2 fresh right side tires. And for this 57, he'll head down across the line and see 2 laps left to go here in stage number 2. So only 2 laps left, and for Jack Bulty, luckily enough here, he's opened up a little bit more of a gap between himself and Joseph Smith, but Smith's still right there with him. If there's a slip up or a mistake out of the 27, I'm sure Smith would love that, to be able to try to slide his way up into that second spot here in this stage. Earned himself an extra stage point out there on the speedway. Jaden Browder's up into 4th here. Austin Thompson falls back to 5th. Kobe Wells falls to 6th out there on the speedway. Terrence Murphy in 7th. As we just saw the 23 and the 45 both get into the outside fence right there. For the 23 ride of Austin Thompson, definitely fell a lot off the pace here. Now up the racetrack a ton through 1 and 2. Looks like he'll lose another spot there too, as both the 45 of Wells and the number 24 of Terrence Murphy are able to get around him. And on the final lap of this stage, definitely not something you want to see happen, as we do see Applegate head down across the line. He'll see the green and white checkered flag, and it's Grant Applegate who will win our second stage of the day. Jack Bulty will come home in 2nd, with Joseph Smith there in 3rd. Jaden Browder back in 4th. Kobe Wells rounds out our top 5 there, so hanging on to it there for the TI Racing Machine. Terrence Murphy comes home in 6th there. No, actually, I think it is Austin Thompson. No, it is Terrence Murphy who comes home 6th there in the stage. Austin Thompson will finish 7th. Jason Bogart, Evan Stewart will earn some stage points, and so won't Wyatt Mickelson in the 51 machine here this evening. So our second stage of the day has come to a close here, as we inch closer to our midway point. We'll probably hit it here under this yellow flag, and we'll go back to green flag racing in the second half of this feature event, and for our final stage of the day, as the Ally doing it right, number 51 ride, so far doing pretty good this afternoon. So far has done a lot of things right, has earned some really good stage points, and trying to lock his way into our championship here in 2 weeks' time, as drivers do hit pit road. So they hit pit lane right here. Everyone's trying to reel in the car in front of them, trying to get a little closer here, maybe give themselves a chance to leapfrog some of these drivers, and maybe gain a couple extra spots down pit lane for this restart. But we'll see who's going to win this race. Is Applegate out in front here. Great strategy, but to win the stage, at least great strategy. To win the race, I'm not sure if it'll play him to his favor or not here. With the other drivers having the extra set down behind pit wall, could put him as a little bit more of a sitting duck late in this race. But you do see Jack Bulty, Applegate, Wells, all these drivers hit their pit stalls. There's the VAN, the van ride of Trevor Dyer, now hitting his pit stall. And here we go, drag race off of pit road. Looks like it's Applegate who will hang on to the race lead. Looks like Joseph Smith able to steal 2nd away from Jack Bulty. Bulty will come out in 3rd, with Terrence Murphy, Jason Bogart now our top 5. Evan Stewart comes out of the pits back in the 6th position. Wyatt Mickelson, Cooper Goodwin, Stephen Blevins, Trevor Dyer our top 10, but it does look like Evan Stewart, he fallen to the rear of the field right here. I'm not sure what's going on with Stewart, as just off the pace out of pit road right there. Not sure what's going on here with the 37 ride. Came out quite a bit farther forward. We'll see if he's able to get those spots back and able to give himself a little bit better of a shot here in this final stage. Just gave up probably about 4 or 5 positions after the pit stop right there. So we'll see if he gets those back, or if he'll be kind of trapped back here now in the 12th spot for the restart. He'll have Austin Thompson back there behind him, as Austin down pit road a little extended period of time there, getting some of that damage that he had just received out of core number 4, fixed up on the 23 ride. Then you do see it's like Jaden Browder's back there, Evan Stewart, Ryan Haller's there in that Kroger number 60 ride. Jaden Porter's there, as well as Kobe Wells, who's gotten some of the damage on his car fixed up. And we'll see where Wells gets ready to restart here, with Nicholas Wheeler, Jaden Porter, Ben Needis, Thaddeus Friel Jr., Trent Johns there in 20th. Michael Ponder Jr. is back in 21st. For Aiden Lucas, unfortunately, still down pit road, and now finds himself 10 laps down, and I'm not sure if we're going to see Aiden get back out onto the racetrack here. Looks like his day may have came to an early close, as well as Logan Perriman's and Nick Jensen's, as we get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to get back after it, ready to get back to battles. Applegate in the Red Bull number 57 ride is our race leader, is the control car here for this restart as we start our final stage and hit our midway point here at Gateway. Grant Applegate sees that green flag fly. So Applegate quickly on the loud pedal, gets a good launch, good jump right there, clears that 31 down through 1 and 2, and will take us down the back straightaway and hope to try to keep them back at bay, but we do see the caution flag come back out. So cautions breeding cautions here midway through this race, and it looks like Michael Ponder Jr. running into some issues. Pretty solid contact and damage here on the 13 ride. We'll see if anyone else gets tied up in it, but I think for the 13, a little deeper back here. I'm actually quite surprised that we see the yellow flag fly for this, as there's no one else around him. He sends it into the corner. Kind of, oh, okay, there we go. So we do have another driver that was already turned around right there. That's where the caution flag flies. It's Lucian Thompson here. That's going to run into some issues. Let's keep an eye on this number 61 machine, the Napa ride. The outside lane, shoots it into corner number 1 and just kind of loses the rear end right there. Ends up making pretty solid contact with the 23 ride. So unfortunately there for Austin Thompson, he does get some damage out of this. Nothing of his own fault. 61 loses the rear end, gets into the 23, gets bounced around and up into the outside fence. Pretty solid contact. Couple big hits there for that 61 ride, and unfortunately that may have him down pit road here for an extended period of time, trying to get that thing fixed up and repaired here this evening, as that is a lot of damage to the nose, to the back end. I mean, the Napa Auto Parts car is going to need a lot of work from the Napa Auto Parts crew to get that thing back out there onto the speedways. You do see Michael Ponder Jr. back down pit road. You'll see Thaddeus Friel back down pit sign here as well. So the 98 of Friel Jr. also hitting pit lane. Now Lucian Thompson, the crew, is going to work, and they put 4 fresh tires onto the 61 ride as well there. That was a bit of a surprise, but the crew going to work, trying to get that thing fixed up and back out onto the speedway, as we'll get everyone else ready to rock and roll, ready to get back after it, ready to get back to work here this evening, as we'll get a quick word in from our sponsors over at KK Woodscapes. Alrighty, here we go, getting ready to get back to battle here at Gateway, as the green flag back out into the air for the 57 of Grant Applegate. Applegate sees that green flag fly, and once again, another great launch, another great restart there out of the 57 machine, and quickly trying to pull away from the rest of the drivers back there behind him, as you did see Beauty get a little piece of the outside fence there, exiting quarter number 2. Hopefully no major damage or contact there for that number 27 ride, as he battles door to door here with Joseph Smith. Looks like Smith able to slide up in front of him, clears him, and takes over position number 2 here by himself out there on the racetrack. So Smith up and into second here. Beauty for the first time this afternoon falls back into that 3rd spot here on the speedway. Terrence Murphy there in position number 4, with Jason Bogart rounding out our top 5. Great run here this afternoon for Jason, as he's had this 17 right up inside the top 10, top 5 all evening long, and looking for a good solid finish here this evening, is Wyatt Mickelson right there behind him. Mickelson rolling in position number 6 here on the speedway, as Austin Thompson and Stephen Blevins back there behind him. Cooper Goodwin scored there in 9th, and Trevor Dyer back inside our top 10, as you see Cooper Goodwin way up the racetrack there on corner exit, gets a big piece of the outside fence right there. Really solid contact for the Chumba Casino ride, and that's going to cost him a couple spots on the back straightaways. We did see Trevor Dyer, Jaden Browder both get around him. Kobe Wells now around him as well there. So unfortunately for Cooper Goodwin. Goes from inside our top 10 to now all of a sudden back into that 12th spot here on the Speedway. Ben Needis there in position number 13 with Evan Stewart, Nicholas Wheeler, and the number 5 ride here this afternoon for Xavier Ruggle-Brugge. The 5 machine rolls there in the 15th position as Ryan Haller right there behind him is Haller there in 16th as Jaden Porter, Trent Johns, Thaddeus Friel Jr., Lucian Thompson's there in 20th, Michael Potter Jr. is back in 21st, Zane Lucas still down pit side, and Logan Perriman, Nick Jensen both done here early this afternoon. As Applegate, though, out in front has this race lead, hoping to try to keep Smith back there at bay. Smith, though, looking to try to reel him in the 31, slowly but surely starting to draw closer to that 57 ride. And for Applegate, you gotta wonder here. You jumped out to a decent-sized lead. You got a bunch of car lengths between yourself and that 31 ride. About the same gap back to our third-place driver, Jack Bulte. Do you try to slow down the pace? Do you try to save a little extra tire out there or push harder here in this run, just knowing and expecting that, you know, your strategy may have you making 2 green flag pit stops throughout the final 80 laps of this race, especially with that caution flag that was thrown right as the stage was getting started here. We get that quick caution flag that gave these drivers a few extra laps of fuel saving, a few extra laps of tire savings there. And I think for a lot of these drivers, I think the big goal will probably be now with those caution laps to probably get to somewhere around lap number 124. I think that is going to be a huge number for a lot of these drivers. Getting the lap number 124 means that you're going to be running virtually about, I guess that'd probably be about 42 laps. Maybe go a little farther, the 124. Maybe you try to get the 128, 130 area if you got the fuel, if you got the tires. So that way it kind of leaves you that final run with only 40 laps. 42 laps out there, maybe even a little less than that, and giving yourself a little bit better tire there towards the end of this race, especially if that may be your only pit stop throughout the stage. There may only be one pit stop here throughout this final run of the evening. Now, if there is some late race caution flags, I'm sure we'll see a lot of takers hit pit road, get fresh tires, knowing how much they will be worth it late in this race. And unfortunately, one driver already burning through an extra set of those tires was that 57 of Grant Applegate. So Applegate could be a little bit more behind the 8 ball here late in this race when it comes to the tires here on the Speedway. As right now, I mean, he's not looking like it's slowing him down one little bit. He's now pulled away way farther ahead of Joseph Smith now. 1.2 seconds between himself and Smith out there on the Speedway. And it seemed like for Joseph, maybe he's trying to hang with that 57 for a little bit. But I think at this point now, he's just going to let him go, burn up his equipment, and hope that he can save enough that late in this run, the 57 just starts to lose that pace, falls off rather quickly, and allows them to kind of reel him back in later on in this run. And we did see Cooper Goodwin, unfortunately, hitting pit road here as well. Here comes Cooper in the Chumba Casino ride down pit road, and looks like he's going to tow it down behind pit wall. So, unfortunately for Cooper Goodwin, looks like his day may have came to a close right there, taking that car back down behind pit wall and potentially out of this race. Heartbreaker there for that 35 ride here this evening. So we start with 24. We got 20 still rolling out there on the racetrack with Goodwin, Perriman, and Jensen down behind pit wall. Aiden Lucas still on pit road, but unfortunately, not sure if he's going to get back out there. I'm not sure if he's going to get rolling again here this evening, or he may just be content down pit side here for the rest of this race. But for the 57 of Grant Applegate, he's out in front and continuing to pull farther and farther away from our second place driver. The gap is almost 2 seconds now between himself and Joseph Smith. And Smith starting to see a little bit of traffic work into his rear view mirror. right through his back bumper here, probably sooner rather than later, as Jack Bulty starting to reel him in here as well. So Jack in that 27, hoping that maybe this can stays a long green flag run, hoping that maybe, the tire wear will start to come into play. Maybe Smith and Applegate will fall off the pace, and he'll be able to make easy work of them and battle his way back to the front of the field here in this feature event. And I think for a lot of these drivers, tires are just going to play a huge key role in this one, man. Tires are going to be massive for a lot of these drivers. Even at this point, if there was to be a caution flag with only 12, 14 laps of green flag racing, I still feel that each and every one of these drivers are hitting pit road. I feel they're all coming back down pit road to get tires. It may not be about fuel, but definitely for the tires is going to be that world of difference, and the difference of between, potentially winning this race or not winning this race. So if you got to use them and you can abuse them, if you got that extra set or two still down behind pit wall, then you may want to take that advantage. But for right now, for Applegate, for Bulty, some of these other drivers that are set up for the long haul run, they're hoping to just see this stay clean and green down to the checkered flag. And if that's the case, it could work out nicely here for Applegate. Obviously, jumping into this big of a lead this quick in the run, I'm not sure if that's going to cause issues for him here later in the run prior to making that final pit stop. But for right now, looking pretty nice for him, as Sarah in the chat says, "Let's go, Joseph!" Cheered on Joseph here this evening, as Joe sitting there in position number 2, trying to keep on working his way forward, hoping that the number 57 ride falls off the map here, and all of a sudden he can just kind of reel him in and make quick work of him and steal that race lead here late in this race. Jack Bulty, Terrence Murphy, our top 4. Jason Bogart still hanging on to the 5th position, but as Wyatt Mickelson reeling him in here, and Mickelson hoping that he can work his way up inside our top 5 here in this feature event. Wyatt Mickelson, Jaden Browder there, 6th, 7th, and then we do see Austin Thompson back in 8th. Kobe Wells back into the top 10 here as he sits in that 9th position. Trevor Dyer's there with him, back in that 10th spot here on the Speedway. Evan Stewart just outside our top 10 with Stephen Blevins, Ben Neatis, Nicholas Wheeler, Jaden Porter, Trent Johns there in the 8. Ryan sits in 16th with Ryan Haller there in 17th. Thaddeus Friel Jr., Lucian Thompson there in the 61. Right, see the damage on that 61 machine, just trying to limp this car around the speedway, hoping that he can maybe keep himself in the battle, maybe gain a few extra positions, or maybe see some caution flags fly where it allows him to hit pit road and try to get some of that damage repaired and try to get that car a little bit more competitive here late in this race. Unfortunately for Michael Ponder Jr., he may be kind of sitting in that same boat, just hoping to see maybe a couple yellows, draw back into the rear of the field, get right back into the mix of things here with the rest of these drivers. But unfortunately right now finds himself about 13 seconds back of our lead pack and 6 seconds behind Lucian Thompson out there on the speedway. And for both of these drivers, they're not too far away from our race leader. They're on the same straightaway as Applegate down the front stretch there. You saw him in the background as we were looking at the 13 ride. So Applegate not too far away from potentially putting that number 13 ride of Michael Ponder Jr. a lap down out there on the racetrack. So Applegate just continue to keep on doing what he's doing here. He's pulling farther and farther away from Joseph Smith. The gap is now about 3.1 seconds between first and second, and he's hoping that he can just keep on opening up that lead. And for right now, the tires are holding on nicely. He's not seeing them in his rearview mirror, so he's just going to keep doing what he's doing. And for a lot of these drivers, probably only about, I'm going to say 20 laps or so left to go here in this fuel and tire run. There may be a few that come a little early. There may be a couple that stay out a little later here. But I think for the most part, these drivers probably only got about, anywhere between 20 to probably 30 laps before they're back down pit road. And green flag pit stops could be fairly chaotic. This is a tricky pit road. We've seen a lot of drivers run into issues. One trying to enter pit lane, but also trying not to speed down pit lane as well is a huge thing. And that's something we'll have to keep an eye on when we start to see these green flag pit stops fly. But as these drivers just completed lap 108, we have 60 laps left to go here in this feature event. Unfortunately, the 13, Ryan Michael Potter Jr. right there, does fall a lap down as Applegate gets around him, but with only 60 laps left to go, be 59 this time past the start-finish line for our race leader, Grant Applegate, and the rest of the field here this evening. We'll jump into a quick Crank It Up, presented by Uncle Rodney here this evening. The Uncle Rodney Crank It Up here this evening, so crank up that volume, cheer on your favorite drivers as we crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. The Crank It Up caution flag is going to fly here this evening. Oh man, the Crank It Up caution flag curse will continue here this evening as we'll take a look back and see what brings out yet again another caution flag here on the Speedway. It looks like the Alabama number 64 ride. The van machine may have ran into some issues here as you're going to watch the 23 of Austin Thompson get up into the outside fence. The 64 right there to his left rear, unfortunately. Going to get into him here. So the 23 off the fence. Both drivers, hard contact down into the infield wall there. Both cats getting absolutely tore up. Luckily enough for Haller and Friel Jr. and Trent John's able to avoid him right there. But there's a big hit there for the 64. Big hit for the 23 ride of Austin Thompson there as well. That's a great look at it right here as the 23 banks it off the outside fence. Unfortunately, nowhere to go for Dyer, and both drivers, man, huge hits into the infield. Same for Barrier right there. Huge damage to both drivers, and unfortunately, that may end both of their nights here this afternoon. We'll have to wait and see if they can get these cars fixed up, if they can get back into the battle here this evening. Unfortunately, they're going to have to spend a lot of time down pit road as we see everyone down pit side here, and this is going to make things very, very interesting. I don't think they're quite at their fuel window yet. I think they're still going to probably need one more pit stop here this evening. And if you're Grant Applegate, you still got the race lead. We give up that entire advantage. And now, I mean, drivers kind of know, okay, there's only one more kind of option here on strategy. You got to make at least one more pit stop. So I think for a lot of cats, this is going to open up the door to run as hard as you can, probably over the next 15, well, maybe 25 laps. Come down pit road and have another 25 laps to run as hard as you can. Try to get the most out of both sets of tires out there on the racetrack. And unfortunately, that means Applegate's going to have a lot of fast cats trying to work right to his back bumper and have to use and abuse your tires here on the Speedway. And if you use and abuse them too much, or we see a couple more late race caution flags there, especially after the final pit stop for these drivers, then he could be a sitting duck. We saw him come down pit road, use that extra set of tires early on in stage number 2 to kind of leapfrog a lot of drivers and win that second stage of the day. Now here for finishing this race, he's one set less than the rest of these drivers, and that one extra set could be the difference maker between him winning this race or finishing back in the 15th position out there on the speedway. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out for that 57 ride. As Applegate will get ready for the restart, elects to use the outside lane with Joseph Smith down to the inside, Jaden Browder, Jack Bealty there in third and fourth, and then we see Terrence Murphy, Kobe Wells back up into 6th. Jason Bogart's there in 7th. Evan Stewart's in 8th. And then we see Jaden Porter and Ryan Haller now rounding out our top 10. As we get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing, we will jump right back into our Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So once again, crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers as we crank it up again here this evening, presented by Uncle Rodney. Alrighty, a beautiful cranking up session right there, brought to you by Uncle Rodney here this evening in the Wheel to Wheel Racing League is out in front. It is still the number 57 of Grant Applegate. Applegate continues to hold on to the race lead, trying to keep all these drivers back there at bay and hoping to try to put himself up and into victory lane here this evening. But Jaden Browder and Joseph Smith not too far off his back bumper. They've both been right there, tight to him, just have not quite been able to make the move to make the pass out there on the speedway. So we'll keep a close eye on those drivers. But back behind them, I mean, Jack Buelte, our early race leader, our Stage 1 winner, looked like this was going to be his day to find victory lane. Now kind of stuck back here in that fourth position. Unfortunately, once he kind of lost a couple spots here, has not been able to get them back. Has been kind of stalled out right there in that fourth spot. Now he did battle his way back around Terrence Murphy, who sits there in fifth. He's got Kobe Wells now to his back bumper. Wells trying to keep on working his way back inside our top five. Hasn't quite gotten there yet, but he's right there within striking distance. He can navigate his way around this 24 ride as our top six drivers have broken away from the rest of the field. It is a gap of 5 seconds plus between Wells back to our 7th place driver, this number 51 of Wyatt Mickelson. Mickelson quite a ways back behind that lead pack. Unfortunately going to need either a caution flag or bad pit stop, something to go his way for him to kind of reel in our top six drivers out there on the speedway, and his teammate Ryan Haller right there with them in that 8th position. So Mickelson and Haller sit 7th and 8th out there on the racetrack. Thaddeus Friel Jr. up inside the top 10 as he now sits in that 9th spot here on the speedway as Evan Stewart's back in 10th. Stephen Blevins, Jaden Porter, our top 12. Jason Bogart back in 13th with Ben Needis there in 14th. And we do see Nicholas Wheeler, Trevor Dyer with the damaged up Van Ryn as the Alabama machine. Looks like he's hitting pit road here for what could be his final stop of the day. Nicholas Wheeler, Lucian Thompson, who's a couple laps down here in that 61 machine. You see the damage still on this 61 ride, unfortunately, has went multiple laps down and just trying to hang on to it right now. But with Trevor Dyer down pit road, looks like that may bring a few more drivers as here comes Jack Buelte and Colby Wells. All right, so our 4th and 6th place drivers also hit pit road here, making what could be their final stop of this race as they are all in their fuel window, obviously now in their tire window as well. They'll feel comfortable battling all the way to the checkered flag here this evening and maybe try to play a little strategy here, making this earlier pit. Unfortunately for the 45, oh no, you just got a good look at it right there. A bit of a slower stop for Wells as Wells was in his stall, and it just seemed like he was sitting there for a little while and no service was being done. Let's take a look back at him pulling in here. So he pulls into a stall, and I guess from iRacing, maybe a little too far forward in the box here. Right there, has to throw it in reverse, back it up another half a foot to a foot right there for the crew to start to go to work. They get the right signs on it. He gets steamrolling back out onto the speedway. Unfortunately, that little bit of a mistake may have just cost him what could have been a great strategy to leapfrog some drivers and potentially put himself into a winning position. So now we see Thaddeus Friel Jr. hitting pit road as well in the VAN number 98 ride. So Friel down pit road. He's making his final stop here this evening, but out in front, Grant Applegate continues to lead the charge here. Has about a second between himself and the number 11 of Jaden Browder, as Browder sits there in the 11th position. Joseph Smith scored currently right now in that 3rd position. As you do see the 27 ride right there with him, that is the 27 of Jack Buelte. Buelte hoping to use these fresh tires right now to his advantage. Came down pit road. He finds himself right now a lap down, but not too far away from our race leader to where he can maybe unlap himself in case if there is an untimely caution flag. But if this thing stays clean and green, this is a strategy that could potentially work out in his favor. Staying out this little bit longer, getting the extra laps in here with the fresher tires could potentially put him into a position where late in this race he's got a big enough gap, a big enough lead that Applegate Browder, some of these drivers that are at the front of the field won't be able to catch him, as he will be able to probably leapfrog them and potentially into the race lead once we finally see Applegate and these guys hit pit road. And we do see another one down pit side. Here comes the FedEx ride of Mr. Browder. So Jaden Browder hits pit lane. So here we go, our second place driver down pit road here on lap number 146. Just completing lap 146 out there on the speedway. Now, will that bring some more of our front runners? Will we see Applegate, Smith, some of these guys start to hit pit road? And here we go. Here comes Applegate. So next lap around, he hits pit lane. Looks like Smith going to stay out. We'll see if Mickelson, some of these other drivers decide to hit pit road now, or if they're going to wait a little bit while longer. Hope that they get the better tires later in the run, where maybe that can work into their favor, chasing some other drivers down out there on the speedway. But for Applegate, trying to stay par here with that number 11 of Jaden Browder. So far, everyone that's came down pit side has been able to get down there without any issues, no penalties as of yet. We'll keep an eye on that here in the late goings as Applegate does hit his pit stall. Crew's going to put 2 tires on. We'll see if this is just going to be a 2-tire stop. That's all she'll be. So 2 tires again for the 57 ride of Grant Applegate, and he'll get rolling back out there. We'll see where he kind of comes out. We already see Jack Buelty around him here, making that little bit earlier of a stop, hitting pit road 6 laps sooner, puts himself what could be as the race lead. Applegate just gets out in front of the 11 of Browder. Browder coming with a big run, trying to work to the outside of the 57. Applegate gets into the cushion right there a little bit, pushes up the racetrack. That makes Browder have to kind of roll out of it right there, and that may be what Applegate needs to keep Browder back there at bay. But and Browder's not going to give this one up easy. He knows this could be the battle for the race win right here. He knows that even though, you know, they only got 2 tires and it's still early in their run, this could be potentially a pass for the race lead here. I mean, they still got to catch the 27 ride of Jack Buelty, but I'm not sure if they're going to have a problem doing that. So this is definitely an interesting pass, and there we go. Browder able to make that move, as here we go. We see Joseph Smith down pit side here. He's done his stop. He's rolling back out there. Now here comes Wyatt Mickelson, Ryan Haller, also down pit road. Looks like 4 tires for both of these cars, so a little bit of a different strategy going for the 4-tire stop there for Haller and Mickelson. They'll get rolling right back out on the speedway. Now for Smith, a little bit longer out there on the racetrack. Came down pit road back on lap 149. Now, I'm not sure if he took a 4-tire stop there or 2 tires, but he has lost quite a few positions. For what was our 3rd-place driver, he's been leapfrogged by Colby Wells. He's been leapfrogged by Terrence Murphy and obviously Jack Buelty. So he now finds himself what could be the 6th car in line, as everyone else makes their pit stop. So we're still waiting on Evan Stewart, Stephen Blevins, Jaden Porter, all to come down pit side here for their final stop of this race. Jason Bogart also still having to make a final pit stop here as well. I do believe we also see who else here? It looks like Nicholas Wheeler still needs to hit pit road in the 5 ride. Ben Needis now down pit side there in the 66. I believe Lucian Thompson, who's down multiple laps down in the 61 ride, he's already going to need to kind of hit pit road again here as well. But nonetheless, for the 61 machine, to try to keep himself within somewhat of striking distance of a Lucky Dog out there on the speedway, unfortunately is not in line for it. But for Evan Stewart, I mean, Evan's sitting in a great spot, and there we go. We do see Haller able to work his way around Evan Stewart. Now Ryan Haller finds himself back on a lead lap here, but for Haller, I mean, he's lost a lot of distance to his teammate. Came out of the pits right tight together with Wyatt Mickelson. Wyatt is now 5 seconds in front of his teammate Ryan Haller, so I'm not sure what went wrong for Haller there, as you do see Evan Stewart pancake the corner 4 fence right there, like we've seen so many drivers do here today. But for Haller, I'm not sure if there was some issues there getting back going after his pit stop, but for the 60 machine, definitely off the pace to his teammate there. And for Mickelson, he gets a little bit of pressure relief with Haller not right there on his back bumper, but You do see that left front damage here, so you're going to wonder if maybe he did make some contact with somebody, or if potentially he may have gotten, a little bit of a round or something, make contact with an infield fence somewhere, going back out there onto the racetrack with the cold tires. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but we do see Vince Stewart still leading the charge here. Stephen Blevins in second. Applegate has worked his way back around Jaden Browder, but they both find their way around Jack Buelte. Buelte now scored back in 6th here, but Applegate and Browder both around him here, and Browder, seeing this number 57 pull away from him, knows that could have been the battle for the lead. He had taken it from Applegate, but Applegate taking it back away and now pulling away from this 11 ride in the closing laps of this feature event. And now I think for these other drivers, man, they just got to be banking on a late race caution flag. If you're Evan Stewart, if you're Stephen Blevins, Jaden Porter, any of these guys that have not made this pit stop, even Jason Bogart here, back scored now in the 10th position. You gotta be banking on a late race yellow, something that can work into your favor, something that can put you kind of ahead of the ball game here and in a bit of advantage late in this race. And a caution flag could keep them in that kind of a good spot here. Especially with some good green flag laps being laid down on the rest of these tires here. If there is a caution flag, they could be at the advantage by, 10, 15 laps of fresher tires. They just got to make it that far, man. They just got to keep with it and hope that they get a little lucky here late in this race to give themselves a shot here today. But for right now, they're just stuck mired back here a little deeper. Well, currently right now they're forward in the field, but once they make this pit stop, if they do have to make it under the green flag conditions, unfortunately, they'll more than likely go a lap down out there on the racetrack. Now, they may be able to race their way back on a lead lap, but they eliminate all of their strategy out there on the racetrack. And unfortunately, Jack Buelte right now, it looks like it may work out for him. I'm not 100% sure. We do see Joseph Smith after making his stop and being a little slower there. May have taken 4 tires. He's already worked his way back around Colby Wells and Terrence Murphy. He's pulled away from them. He's all over the 15, and looks like he'll work himself around Blevins here. And he's going to chase down Jack Buelte. 1.5 seconds here between him and Jack for what could be that 3rd spot here on the speedway, and it will be the 3rd spot as he works his way around Evan Stewart. Evan falls all the way back to 4th now and still has to make this late race pit stop here this evening. But for Grant Applegate, out in front, he's got 1.1 seconds between himself and Jaden Browder. Browder trying to hang with him, trying to keep that pressure on the back bumper of this 57 ride, and within striking distance here this evening, as Sarah says, keep moving up, Joseph, number 31. He's moving, he's grooving out there on the speedway. Sure Holler says, come on, Wyatt, move it up, she says, come on, Holler, good position. I think even with that little bit of a weaker run out of pit road, still may find himself with the top 10 run here this evening for Ryan Holler. Is there's still probably about 4 or 5 drivers in front of them that have to hit pit lane and make their green flag pit stops here this evening. Blevins being one of them here, just trying to hang on to that 15 ride as Colby Wells battling there with the number 24, Terrence Murphy. This is a good fight right now for what could be the 5th position out there on the speedway. Wells will take it away from Terrence Murphy. Murphy falls back into 6th here on the speedway. Blevins there in 8th will have to make a pit stop. Same with Jaden Porter and Jason Bogart, who currently sit 8th, 9th, and 10th out there on the racetrack. I believe Nicholas Wheeler still has to potentially hit pit road here, as well as Evan Stewart. So still some takers for probably hitting pit road late in this race. We'll have to keep an eye on them and see who's going to have to make that call, who's going to make that move, and finally have to bite the bullet to hit pit road, unless if they can make it to the end, which would be quite a surprise here if they can keep on rolling. And for Evan Stewart, it could work out nicely for him. He's got about 1.3 seconds between himself and Wells. Terrence Murphy right there, but then a lot of drivers that are on the same strategy as him. So even if Wells and Murphy get around him, Evan Stewart, oh, look out! Oh no. There is the 13 ride, parked sideways on the front straightaway, and a late race caution flag will fly. Oh, brother. This just got real interesting real quick, ladies and gentlemen, as the 13 of Michael Ponder Jr. goes around. Let's take a look here back at Michael out there on the racetrack, who's about 8-9 laps down out there on the racetrack. Just trying to keep on rolling here, and down low, just going to lose it out at corner number 4. Rear end kicks out and around on him, and for the Mountain Dew pitch black ride. Ends up nosing the inside fence, stop there on the front straightaway. The flag man sees it, gets a great look at it, throws that caution flag, and unfortunately here, this is a caution flag that a lot of drivers may not have wanted to see. It's probably a caution flag that a lot of them did want to see, as we should take a look here at pretty much everyone coming down pit road right here. Oh no, man, this might be bad news for Applegate, who may be out of tire. Same with Jack Buelty here. We do see Jaden Porter stay out even after pitting last down at lap 114. He's going to have really old tires here, man. He's going to have like 50 lap older tires than a lot of these other drivers, man. He may be a bit of a sitting duck here on this restart, but for drivers like Colby Wells and Terrence Murphy, Joseph Smith, you see tires going onto their race car. Same with Jaden Browder here, I believe, as we take a look at Browder. A little deeper in there, yes, you do see right sides going onto Browder's race car. So he gets tires as well in the 11 machine. Same with Evan Stewart, throws on a set of right sides. Gets rolling back out there on the racetrack. Oh man, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be really, really interesting here. We kind of saw how those right sides worked out really, really well for Applegate early on in this race when everyone else had about 10, 15 lap older tires. He's now going to have those 10, 15, maybe even closer to the 20 lap older tires here under green flag conditions than a lot of these other drivers. He may be a bit of sitting duck here. Same with Jack Buelty, and for Jaden Porter, I think he may just be a bit of a thorn right here. That's going to be one driver we'll have to keep an eye on, having 50 lap older tires than a lot of these drivers. More than likely about to be a sitting duck out there on the racetrack here. I like the thought process. Maybe the track position can get him a good run and a good finish here this evening, but I think he may just find himself getting shoved up and out of the way, or even potentially wrecked out there on the racetrack, because these guys are not going to want to sit back. They got these fresher tires. They got an opportunity to jump up there and go after this win. They got to make some quick work here of the cars in front of them. So I think for Jaden Browder, Joseph Smith, Evan Stewart, Wells, Mickelson, all these cats, man, they are not going to sit back. They're going to be on the throttle and pushing as hard as they can here late in this race to keep on moving themselves forward. You do take a look at Ryan Haller trying to catch up to the field here, trying to get a little extra repair done to that 60 ride. Looks like he will fall in line and he'll get ready to rumble here. Looks like he should be pulling right in front of that 61 ride to the tail end of the lead lap cars. There we go. He gets in line, so he is in a good spot to get rolling here again. And here we go for what could be our final restart of the day, which should be a 2-lap shootout to the checker flag. It is not a NASCAR overtime, but it will be a green-white checker finish as the 57 of Applegate gets a big launch, big restart right there. And look at all the drivers already just swarming this 74 ride of Jaden Porter. Porter just kind of a sitting duck right here, getting chewed up and spat out as, oh, look out, there's contact down the back straightaway. There goes Porter. There goes the 61 Lucian Thompson. No caution flag. It's still clean and green is, oh, Jaden Browder sideways up the racetrack through 3 and 4. Goes for a power slide, but able to hang on to it and keep on rolling as we see the white flag fly. And for Applegate, having that track position, man, it may have paid off for him, but here comes Smith quickly down to the inside of Jack Buelty Beauty. They'll be battling for second, and for right now, Applegate just has to hit a perfect 3 and 4 and keep the 27 and the 31 back there at base for the final time here this evening. Through 3 and out of corner number 4, Joseph Smith will not have enough time to catch him as the 57 of Grant Applegate will pick up the dub here this evening. Grant Applegate will get it done and picks up the win here at Gateway Worldwide Technology Raceway here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys enjoyed that racing action, make sure you guys do us a favor. Hit that thumbs up button here on the broadcast. Hit that subscribe button right now. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today as we'll get ready to pull our top 3 up and into the broadcast booth here for their post-race interviews. Post-race interviews coming up next as we'll get Applegate, we'll get Smith and Beauty up here into the booth and hear what they got to say after a crazy finish out there on the speedway, man. That was a heck of a wild one right there. So we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, and ready to rock and roll, ready to get back into the battle here in this one as 57 gets to celebrate on the front straightaway this afternoon. See if we can get him up here right now. I believe he's in the cord. Not in the waiting room yet, but let's see if we can drag him in. And he's a little farther down there. See if we can grab him here quickly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our race winner, Mr. Applegate, Grant Applegate, who picks up the checkered flag here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Hey, Grant, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yes, I do.
Grant, man, what a run. What a race, brother. Take us back through what's going through your mind as you get to celebrate here at Gateway.
Stressful. I was just running came out of pit road on that last one, and I ended up behind Browder for a second. And I was like, no, I got to get him back before we get the tires heated up. And thankfully got back ahead of him. And then I was just, please, no caution. And I seen how Ponder was all over the place every time I seen him. And I was just nervous that a caution was coming out. But I seen him pit, so I was like, all right, hopefully we should be good to the end. And then, of course, caution comes out with 2 to go or whatever it was, and I have no tires left because I used the extra set to win the second stage and get the track position. So, yeah, just happy to finally win a race, honestly. Just feel like there's so many races I could have won and just I never do. So finally finished one off and didn't screw it up from my own stupidity.
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily enough, that earlier strategy to try to jump out there and win that second stage did not come back to bite you in the butt here this evening. When we saw that caution flag come out, we saw, Smith, Wells, Stewart, all these drivers hit pit road. We thought maybe he'd be a bit of a sitting duck out there in these final 2 laps, but luckily enough, a big enough jump. A couple drivers there with Jack Beauty able to kind of be a bit of a blocker there, a little bit of a cushion, and then we see Smith and I believe Browder make some contact down through 3 and 4. That kind of checked Smith up a little bit as well, and it was just enough to keep them back there behind you. If there was an extra lap or 2, I think it might have been a different story, but being a 2-lap shootout, you had just enough time and just enough tire to hold these guys off and pull yourself up here into victory lane.
Yeah, like you said, I barely had enough tire. I probably could have held on for one more lap just by aero blocking, but yeah, they were probably a solid 6 to 8 tenths faster than me. Especially if I got the right sides heated up, I would be right back to the pace I was running before the caution, which was like a second off my fastest lap. So yeah, even though the caution came out, it came out right at the very end, so we could just quick 2 laps, got a good enough restart to get the gap that I needed to win the race. So
Absolutely.
yeah, finally won a race, and it's stressful.
always stressful, man, especially having those late race caution flags and having to hope just to be able to keep these guys back there behind you for a couple more laps. And you're able to do that here this evening at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Park that 57 up here into the winner's circle. Grant, who'd you like to thank for such a great run and strong performance out there on the speedway?
Just shout out to my teammate Austin Thompson. Just enjoy having him around to be a teammate. I know his race, he ended up wrecked with 12 minutes of damage, so that's unfortunate. I feel like could have been a top 5 car if he just was able to keep it clean and not get stuck with the squirrels. But stuff happens, unfortunate. Appreciate his help every week, just being a teammate, and then obviously appreciate the admins for giving us a place to show up and race.
Absolutely. Well, Grant, heck of a run, heck of a drive for you here this evening as you park that 57 back up here in victory lane in the Wheel to Wheel Racing League, man. Hopefully, many more trips for you up here into the booth before the end of this season. There's only one more race left to go until our playoffs get underway, and no better time for you to kind of get this first win out of the way and now start to click a few more off here as the playoffs get started.
Yeah, thankfully got all those points when I think like three of the 5 people in front of me didn't show up. So good points night, and that's what we need moving into the playoffs.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Grant, heck of a run, heck of a race for you here this evening, man. We can't wait to see you back out there at Atlanta next Sunday night and see if you can park this 57 machine right back up here in Victory Lane.
Very much appreciated. Talk to you later.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our race winner, Mr. Grant Applegate, as we'll get ready now to pull in our second place finisher, the number 31 of Joseph Smith. Hey, Joseph, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. To get a copy?
Yeah.
Joseph, man, solid run, solid race for you here tonight, man. Take us back through what's going through your mind after 168 laps of battling here at Gateway.
Well, I'm happy. I'm just a little annoyed. It sucks. If I had maybe half a lot more, or if maybe Jaden didn't block me and then spin himself out, I would have maybe had time to catch Grant. But I mean, I can't complain about second, and I got third and fourth in the stage. So I mean, great points day. We're about a week away from the chase, so I mean, I really can't complain. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy. It's a tough racetrack. I personally, I don't have much fun at flat tracks, but I like Gateway more than let's say New Hampshire. That's a hot take, but I just personally just enjoy driving it more. The dirty air is pretty terrible though. I felt like the tire wear was pretty interesting on. It was gonna be interesting on how the strategies would play out, and I think it did play out pretty interesting until that late race caution. But yeah, I'm just happy. It was a good night. I ran good all day. I wasn't expecting to run that good because I don't have much experience here at Gateway, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you come in here and you had to get something done because Fisher not being here gave you a huge opportunity to kind of draw in closer in that points battle for the regular season championship. And as I look at the points here, coming into this race, you were 59 points back behind him with some good stage points and a second place finish here. I mean, it's probably going to be really, really tight here points-wise between you and Fisher heading into the final regular season race next Sunday night at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Yeah, I'm looking at the updated points. We're only 9 points back, so if I can maybe win Atlanta back to back and he doesn't finish too great, we could win this regular season. So pretty nervous, but I'm excited. I feel like I can do it. It's a little bit up to fate with it being a super speedway, but honestly more focused on the chase though, because that's the real big picture.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely the biggest picture there going into the playoffs and trying to work your way into a position where, hey, maybe our final race of the season, you're sitting, 9 points ahead or 9 points behind the, point leader and having yourself a chance to go after the championship in our season finale here in a few short months.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just coming into chase and keep my head down. Kind of just do what I've been doing all season. Just stay consistent. Not gonna try and worry about winning too much, and more just finishing consistently top 3. Because thankfully it's the chase and not the playoffs. Because then I'd have to worry about winning a little bit more. But yeah, you can focus on consistency with this format.
Yeah, absolutely. And consistency is key to winning championships. And here tonight, man, you are showing that consistency all night long, all evening, up inside really our top five out there on the speedway. And it pays off as you come home with a very solid second place run. Joseph, who would you like to thank for another great performance out there on the raceway?
I'd like to thank all my friends and family who watch all my races every week. Almost none of them miss any races, so I appreciate them every single race. Always thinking about them. They always push me forward. I'd like to thank Fish Speed, Chesapeake Racing, Full Throttle Motorsports, all those guys. They back me up constantly, keep me going, and I very appreciate all of them.
Absolutely. Well, Joseph, man, we can't wait to see you back out there at Atlanta next Sunday for our regular season finale and see if maybe you can snag that regular season championship away from Jordan Fisher next Sunday night. But, Joe, great run, great race for yourself here tonight, man, and we can't wait to see you back out there in the next one.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our second place finisher, Joseph Smith, as we get ready now to pull in our third place finishers, the 27 ride of Jack Buelty. Let's get Jack up here into the booth right now. Hey, Jack, it's Aaron up here at the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. You get a copy?
I do.
Jack, man, great run, great race for you all evening long. After qualifying on the pole, you virtually lead every lap there in that first stage of the day, and it looked like this was going to be your race. And then all of a sudden, Applegate plays a little strategy there, comes down pit road, gets set of right side tires midway through that stage, and they're able to work out into his favor to jump up, steal the second stage win away from you. You're able to hang on to it there, second, third for a lot of this race, and then kind of there in that final run, got a little shuffle back into about the fifth position. He bowed back up into fourth, and then late in this race, playing some strategy, you stay out, and it works out, pretty decently for you as you're able to hang on to a third place run here this evening, man. Take us back through it. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, I thought it was a good race. Qualified on pole. I didn't think I had pole speed. I was gonna be happy with like top 3, maybe top 5, and then but yeah, felt pretty good that first stage, just kind of setting my own pace, um, moving around the track, just trying to keep dirty air on Grant. And one stage 1, and then stage 2, I felt the same. I was just kind of running my own pace, what I was comfortable with, and then I think that yellow came out, and I elected to stay out like most people did. I thought track position was key. Turns out it was. It's just Grant was able to make a lot of speed on those 4 tires, and got around me, and then from there I immediately knew just the struggle it was going to be. Just dirty air just gets so tight, and then I think Joseph got around me, so it was really just a battle for clean air. Once I lost it, I really didn't stand a chance to try and get it back. So happy with third place. I was content with my fourth place run. Um, and then when we had that green flag pit stop there in the final stage, I thought I had a shot again at winning just because I short pitted them, but they blew my doors off. So I was content again with fourth place. And then that green white checkered. I thought most people were going to stay out, and when I saw everyone else pit, I thought I was in a bad spot. So I honestly thought I was going to be lucky for 10th, and somehow kept it third. I was surprised coming off turn 2, and I still had second place. So all in all, it was a good day. I needed a good points day after a few bad weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you rebound from those, and you end up with a good, solid day here at Worldwide Technology Raceway for a really, really good run here in our penultimate race of the regular season. As you finish out, this regular season, how you feeling going into the chase, being a little deeper in the points here, but tonight maybe moving a little farther forward with a few drivers missing out on the action, maybe a few that you could leapfrog with this good run here this evening and try to give yourself a little bit better of a standings going into that first chase race in a couple weeks' time.
Yeah, I knew going in, looking at the points, I was really racing Evan and Landon. I don't think Landon raced tonight, so I knew I was racing those 2. And when I got pole and won the stage, I knew there was going to be a good points day. So happy with that. I don't honestly. I really don't know how the playoff seeding works. Really, I assume the higher up you are in regular season points, that the more bonus points you get. So I'm just trying to get as high as I can. I think I'm probably at my ceiling right now at 7th. Going into Atlanta, not my best track, even though I almost won there the last time we were there. But yeah, just trying to gain as many points going in. Really, it's just a matter of gaining momentum going into the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Having that momentum, being on a high note, and being able to go into the first race there with a good mindset is always such a massive bonus. And here tonight, I mean, you kind of add to that momentum. I mean, maybe you go to Atlanta, you have a good run there, and then you can really start to stack together some of these pennies and give yourself a chance and a good run, and maybe being able to come out of this with the championship here this season.
Yep, hopefully so. Just trying to get as best finishes as I possibly can.
Absolutely. Well, here tonight, man, a really solid afternoon here at Gateways. Yeah, park yourself up in the podium here this evening in that third position. Jack, who'd you like to thank for such a great run and great performance out there on the racetrack?
Yeah, just want to thank you for putting on the stream, broadcasting the race. Obviously, want to thank Fish Speed with their brakes, really helped me out tonight. And then my team, TI Racing, all my teammates. Um, but yeah, want to thank them for that.
Absolutely. Well, Jack, heck of a run, heck of a drive for you here this evening, brother. Congrats on the third place performance. And we can't wait to see you back out there for our regular season finale next Sunday night.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our third place finisher, Jack Buelty. As Buelty comes home in position number 3. Good, solid run, great drive here this evening for the 27 machine. He's no longer the 67, he is the 27. As Jason says, been to this racetrack many times, and it's always a good time. Yeah, this is a beautiful, beautiful facility, man. Beautiful racetrack, and I know the crowd's always bumping here at Gateway. As Sarah says, push forward, Joseph, push forward. And Greg says, congratulations, Applegate. You ran a great race. Definitely ran a great race here this evening, and able to cap it off with the checkered flag as the 57 picks up the dub here at Worldwide Technology Raceway here this evening. And we'll get ready to, unfortunately, call it a night here, ladies and gentlemen. The race in action has come to a close. We'll get these drivers loaded up and headed off to Atlanta for their next feature event in our regular season finale here next Sunday night. But thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. We can't thank you guys enough for showing up and showing the love here all night long. Huge shout out to all these drivers who showed up and put on a great race for us to enjoy here this evening. And we can't wait to see them back in action again next Sunday. But we'll be live. We'll be back up here in the booth again tomorrow night. Some more amazing racing action here in our Monday night series. So hopefully we'll see you guys back up in the grandstands and cheering on some of our amazing drivers there in the Monday Night League as well. But thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. And we'll see y'all back here in the next one, man. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and love.
Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Yeah. From amateurs to legends, it's all the same heat. One wrong move might sweep defeat. High octane stakes climb mile by mile. Peacemakers mic hot, adding flames to the style. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. Greasy, the grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy.